I'll tell you about a case I heard of. Real grandiose case of financial mismanagement, to say the least. Now, I used to work at this. It was actually when I first moved in here, the first couple of weeks I moved in this house. I was at this egg farm. In other words, battery hen place, and they had a big free range section as well. And it's not too far from where I live, actually. Anyways, there's a bloke I was, talking to there during lunchtime and all that, and he was telling me about this couple he knows, and he reckons, they were inches away from relationship disaster, in his opinion. Now, what it was the girl was about 19 and the bloke was about 21 or something. And, they're in love and they wanted to move in together. So they're going to rent a house. Only trouble was they didn't have enough money for the bond. You've got to pay basically about a month's rent for the bond. So I thought, what are we going to do? So what happened is the guy realised he could get a credit card in his name. So I went out and got a credit card, and he's going to get a $20,000 one, and his girlfriend said, "Nah, stuff it, get a $50,000 one." And, then we got, that's better because we got access to more dough if we need it, sort of thing. So, okay, rightio. And he's really easygoing, this bloke, and he might have been a little bit too easygoing. So I got a $50,000 credit card. He went in and applied for it, and they got it approved. Bugger if I know how, because I went to get one once upon a time and had a real issue even getting a $500 credit card during my apprenticeship because I was $50 a week short on the income. And these two people were only students. Anyway, they got this $50,000 card and paid for the bond and then moved in together. Well, she would get a little card and go shopping on the weekends. Now, this card was solely in his name and not in hers, but she'd go shopping with it and whoop stuff up on credit. She'd come back with a $220 pair of shoes, $450 jacket. All the stuff was all top name designer stuff. Every week she would go through $500 to $1,000 shopping on clothes and shoes every single weekend. Every weekend. And basically, this guy I work with had a feeling that before too long she was going to actually hit the limit on that credit card and they were going to run out. And he hypothesised that because she was a spoilt little bitch, basically, that what had eventually happened is she'd go to swipe it, it wouldn't work. She'd either crack the shits or ring him up and say, "We need more money because the card doesn't work." And, then when she got home later or when he went to go and pay some more money or whatever, at some point shortly after the limit ran out, probably in that same day or not, they'd have a good argument about money and how she was wasting too much money, and she'd go, "Oh, stop this, I'm not listening to this shit, you're being nasty to me," and then she'd just leave. And he said, think about that. He said, I reckon they're only got to blooming about another month together, if that. Might only be another 2 or 3 weeks until she hits that limit, and it's all going to fall to bits, and, she's going to blooming crack the sads and walk out because she thinks he's being nasty, and he's going to be left with a $50,000 debt still as a student, and basically, that was more than a deposit on a house, like on buying a proper house. The deposit on a proper house at the time would have been $35,000, and he said, I can just see it coming. She's going to walk out on him, and he's going to be left to pick up a $50,000 bill with a girl he was only with for a year, 9 months, something like that, So yeah, interesting little scenario there, but he just said this bloke was just so easygoing he didn't even sort of realise the ramifications of what it was winding up to, and that the fact that this girl that he only would have had for a year maximum as a girlfriend was basically going to leave him up the shit for, a big chunk of the cost of the house, and that would sort of impinge on him in the future. And I might as well tell you about another story too while I'm thinking of it. A friend of my sister's had an Indian boyfriend. He came over here as a student, I think, and I think now he's a permanent resident. But he would do the same thing, borrow $20,000 or whatever, not be able to pay it, have a big sob and big teary to her, and all that, and I can't do this, that, and the other. She'd offer to take it on, and at about age 24 or 25 or something like this, she'd racked up, due to taking on his debts for pity of this boyfriend, who then broke it off with her and disappeared with another girl. She'd run up something around the figure of $80,000 to $100,000, and she actually had to declare bankruptcy because she realised, I've only just got out of uni, I'm not going to be able to pay this amount of money. So she has actually declared bankruptcy, and that was the girl taking on the boy's debts. He wouldn't think terribly, sharply. I think he might, buy a car and then, he might have blooming wiped out one or two cars sort of thing, or you just, go buy this stuff or spend all this money, and then bang, she'd be, there with him wailing and carrying on and, oh, look, I'll take pity on you. And at the end of the day, she, they broke up. And I think he might have walked out on her sort of thing and nicked off with an Indian girl, and and she's actually had to declare bankruptcy out of all this because she realised that she was so far in, but by the time she realised that she's never going to pay that off, it was far too late and he was already gone, and she just thought, bloody hell. So unfortunately, she's now got a black mark against her name for the next 10 years and probably technically for the rest of her life, because I know in the States that there was cases with houses where you could just hand the keys back of a house or hand the car back and, and things would be clear. Over here, or in England, you got good points and you got bad points. So when you get a credit rating, if you pay it off, you get a certain amount of good points. If you miss a payment, you get a certain amount of bad points. Over here, you only get bad points. And then the cut-off time for when the banks will touch you, they basically won't touch you for 10 years. I've been told in the States it's like 7 years, I think, or could be 8 in one particular state, but here it's 10. And then it's always haunting you on the, in the background all the time. This blooming bankruptcy keeps appearing on you. So yeah, there you go. There's a couple of cases of ridiculous financial mismanagement, and how things really fall to bits if you just spend.